सबसे पहले emergence of sociology and modernity in Europe. So the question arises, what is modernity? What do we mean by modernity? The modern in literal sense will mean something which is contemporary. Or you can say modern or modernity is something which is in contrast to tradition. So something which is contemporary or something which is in contrast to tradition. But ultimately, modernity in our case refers to a specific time period in Europe and the associated material and intellectual changes in Europe. So modernity for us is different. We don't need to go for that dictionary kind of definition of modernity. So modernity for us is a specific time period in Europe which involved certain material changes and intellectual changes. What were those material changes? Material changes क्या हुए? Material changes which deal with the material realm, that is which deal with the matter. So here material change will refer to industrial revolution. And if we go by the definition of Durkheim, because in French Revolution some people say it was material, some people say it was a non-material or ideational kind of change. But if we take Durkheim's definition of social fact and if we consider Ritzer, then state will come under a material social fact, that is which is concrete, which is a phenomena linked to matter. So here if you want you can add French Revolution. Then intellectual changes. What were the intellectual changes which took place in Europe? Intellectual changes में आएगा क्या? It will be Enlightenment thought. Then other disciplines such as philosophy of history, biological theories of evolution, social surveys, then counter Enlightenment thought. So ultimately all this would mean modernity in Europe, and we will be covering all these events in great detail. Now before that, just to give you an idea that these changes, they created an era of hope and despair. Why hope? Industrial revolution say or French revolution say, what happened? Because of industrial revolution, there was increase in efficiency. There was material advancement in society. New kinds of products were available which were cheap. Then these products could be produced at a massive scale. New technology was introduced. But ultimately, there was a despair. Despair, that is hopelessness. Why there was hopelessness? Because of industrial revolution, there was inequality. There was alienation of labor. There was dehumanization of labor. इनको हम सभी चीजों को ग्रेट डिटेल में करेंगे. So here I am just giving you the overview. That is how, if a different kind of question is framed, that modernity in Europe led to hope and despair, which contributed to emergence of sociology. So French Revolution, if I say French Revolution, it led to hope because it led to the end of feudalism, dawn of democracy, notion of citizenship. But what were the elements which caused despair? French society, it was oscillating between monarchy and republic. There were number of constitutions within France, around 10 to 14 constitutions. In India, we had only one constitution since start of the nation state. But in France, there were around 14 constitutions. So there was kind of disruption in society, lack of stability in society. Then there was reign of terror. where people who were against the revolution or against some revolutionaries, they were guillotined, they were killed. So these created a kind of atmosphere of despair in society. Then, so sociology emerged as a cognitive response. Sociology emerged as an intellectual response to such changes, because at that point in time, the disciplines or the subjects which existed at that point in time, they could not explain such changes. They could not explain such changes. They could not provide social order, harmony in society. Religion could not provide the explanation for such changes. Religion could not provide stability in society. So now intellectuals thought that we have to create a distinct science of society. That is how sociology emerged. So that is whole crux of the matter. अब इसको हम detail में करेंगे. Now before this, just for value addition, we will be minutely discussing Renaissance. See, Renaissance had two important events which are relevant for us. Mainly, what is Renaissance? Renaissance was rebirth. That is, there was revival. It was a cultural movement which affected the European intellectual life. Revival of art, literature, music, sculpture. But this is irrelevant for us. For us, two specific components of Renaissance are important. Everything else can be relegated to the background. It can be left to the background. We only have to look at how it contributed to modernity and emergence of sociology. Agar if there is a question, if there is a 10 marker which talks about enlightenment, then I will say that leave this part because you won't have time and space. But if it is a 20 marker, then you can go for a flow chart kind of representation or some diagrammatic representation. इसकी detail में नहीं जाना है. It is only for understanding purpose. So here in course I will let you know which part we have to use in answer writing and which part can be ignored for the purpose of answer writing. So this is basically for understanding. So we will be discussing it briefly only. So Renaissance here meant rebirth. That is, it was a cultural movement. Culture, what is culture? Culture has components which can be material and which can be non-material. Non-material here means that it will have norms, it will have belief, it will have values. These are the non-material aspects of culture. Then there are material aspects of culture. What are the material aspects? Material aspects, for example, you see the automobile on the road, that is the material aspect of Indian culture. You see this panel, you go to educational institutions, you see the building, you see the parliament. These are all material aspects of culture. So at that point in time, there were changes in the cultural aspects of society. अब चलते हैं हम अपने components के which we can use in our answers if there is a need. So Renaissance had scientific revolution, it had commercial revolution, and both of these contributed to the events which we are interested in. तो हमारा main interest है यहाँ पे, इसको हम great detail में करेंगे. This will be briefly mentioned. That's it. अब आगे चलते हैं, बात करते हैं साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन एंड द रेनेसांस पीरियड. उससे पहले यूरोप की जो मेडिवल सोसाइटी है उसको समझ लेते हैं. व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन ऑफ यूरोप, जिसे हम डार्क एजेस भी बोलते हैं. व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन ऑफ यूरोप? द टाइप ऑफ सोसाइटी और द टाइप ऑफ सोशल सेटअप वाज फ्यूडल सिस्टम. व्हाट इज फ्यूडल सिस्टम? फ्यूडल सिस्टम को हम अभी फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में लेंगे. यहां पे सिर्फ आपको एक बेसिक समझा देता हूं. दैट इज फ्यूडल सिस्टम इन्वॉल्व्स relationships which are centered around land holding pattern. there will be a lord which will be the owner of the land. Then there will be a vassal. That vassal will be given land by the lord, and the vassal will have to provide certain services to the lord, and these services will be mainly military services. Then within this there will be serfs and peasants. Peasants will be individuals who are free. Serfs will be a category within peasants which will be unfree. That is, these people, they will be tied to the land. They will not have geographical mobility. They cannot move from this district to that district. They will be tied to the land. So when the land comes to vassal, along with the land, the serf comes to the vassal. Now he becomes their lord. So that is how society was at that point in time. Land was the source of power. The economic system revolved around land. Now church was a very powerful institution at this point in time. It was the epicenter of authority and learning. They had monopoly in the claim to truth. That ultimately whatever kind of knowledge you need, whether it is moral belief system or whether it is cognitive belief system. Moral matlab you need values, code of ethics. All these were coming from religion only. Then cognitive thing, that is, what is the nature of society, what is nature, what is the nature of universe. All this knowledge will be coming from church, and there will be no challenge to the dogmas or religious beliefs or rigid beliefs of the church. So in this type of society came the scientific revolution. Scientific revolution led to certain discoveries, certain innovations in material and non-material terms, which challenged the authority of church. It rejected the dogmas, the religious dogmas, or the rigid beliefs of the church, and because of which the scientists, they had to face the wrath of church. There were condemnations, there were prohibitions on these scientists. So now we have a question, we have a topic within sociology, religion and science. So you can use this piece of knowledge. इसे discuss करते हैं हम अभी आगे जाके. Anyways, so Europe produced a scientific revolution from 14th to 16th century. It changed material life, that is, new things emerged. For example, calculating devices, then precursor to the steam engine, which was steam digester. There was calculating devices, high grade iron. These were the material changes in the cultural sphere. Then there were certain non-material changes or ideational changes, changes in the idea system of society. So it was a break from the past. That is, whatever discoveries were there, whatever theories were given by the scientists, they challenged the very view held by the church. मतलब church is saying that, अगली स्लाइड में चलते हैं फिर बताता हूं आपको. Geocentric theory, heliocentric theory. Church is saying that ultimately the earth is static and all the heavenly bodies, they revolve around earth. So man is at the center of universe. So we were the most important creation of God. That is the belief of church. It is known as geocentric theory. So it was church's view, and it could be found in biblical passages. So at that point in time, the hold of religion was very strong on individuals' thought, speech and action. Whatever an individual has to think, it will be told by church. Whatever individual has to do, it will be recommended by church. So religion was governing life of the individual. Now comes Copernicus. That is Copernican revolution. Copernican propounded the heliocentric theory. He presented a heliocentric theory. Now he rejected the geocentric model and he said that ultimately the earth is not at the center. Rather, it is sun which is at the center. It is stationary and earth revolves around the sun. So now think about it. इससे होगा क्या? Now why this is of so much relevance? If there is poverty, for example, an individual is poor in society. Now church is saying that God created society. You are poor because it is God's plan. It is God's wish. If there is inequality, if there is oppression, if there is exploitation, it is God's creation. It is your test. If you pass in this test, then ultimately you will be rewarded in the afterlife. Now here comes Copernicus, who is contradicting one thought of church. अब लोग क्या सोचेंगे? What will people think? That ultimately church was lying about geocentricity. So there is a possibility that church is lying about other things as well. Church is saying poverty is natural, but maybe poverty is not natural. So ultimately it will lead to a kind of uproar in the mind of individual. यहाँ पे अभी झगड़ा नहीं होगा. There won't be, you can say, revolution, because still it is 14, 15, 16th century. People still believe in religion. That part will come later on. But here, what is the relevance of Copernican revolution? Ultimately, it has provided the base. It has sown the seed in the collective mind of society, that the religious dogmas, the theorizations of religion could be wrong. He's not saying they are wrong. It could be wrong. So it created a doubt in the mind of individuals, in the mind of whole society, that church does not have monopoly to truth. It can be wrong, which was a very, very big thing at that point in time. Now, human beings were not at the center of universe, but a small part. So Catholic Church, they issued prohibition against Copernican theory. Now, I told you that we have a topic, religion and science, wherein we have to state that ultimately how religion and science, they have similarities, how religion and science, they can have differences. So this is a factual instance of how religion and science can be antithetical, how they can go in different direction, how they can both harm each other. So इस तरीके से if you incorporate things in your answer, then it will be helpful. So जब sociology, when you are studying sociology, don't try to read it or understand it in silos. कि मतलब अब मैं emergence of sociology पढ़ रहा हूँ तो मैं सिर्फ emergence of sociology ही पढ़ रहा हूँ. When you are studying sociology, then keep an open mind. Things like these, they can be used in your essay. That is why sociology is a relevant optional. ये चीजें essay के अंदर भी जा सकती हैं. That how religion can go against the interest of society, how religion can crush innovation, how religion can crush the spirit of inquiry. So that is how you have to look at sociology. Emergent sociology, yes. Then religion and science, yes. Then we can use this in essay. Anyways, आगे चलते हैं. Now these were the individuals who were important. He was mainly supportive of geocentric theory. So Galileo, Newton, Copernicus, these people were the core elements of scientific revolution. So Galileo Galilei, Newton, they revolutionized science. church condemned Galileo for a suspected heretic. मतलब he was challenging the theorizations or beliefs of church. So ultimately there was condemnation of Galileo by church. Again, religion and science incompatibility. That is, these two social forces can work against each other. Anyways, so what these people did, इन्होंने करा क्या? Newton and Galileo, what these people did, they provided a scientific method. What is scientific method in essence? उसका basic core feature क्या है? That is, it is based on observation, it is based on empiricism, it is based on experimental method, and then you arrive at truth or laws. So Galileo, Newton, Copernicus, they represented a new thought, that ultimately this new method, this new scientific method can provide us truth which can be proved, because religious truth is revealed truth. That is, God gave some individual, some in their dreams, or maybe they were meditating, God told them that this is how things work. So it is a kind of revealed revelation जिसे हम बोलते हैं. But here this is the objective truth. This is the truth which can be seen, which can be experimented with, which can be observed, and it will give us certain laws. So there was increase in the prestige of these scientists and increase in the prestige of hard sciences. So now seeds are being sown for sociology to emerge at a later date, maybe after 300 years. But the base is being made right now. So old ideas, they were challenged, alternatives were suggested, which altered the patterns of thought about universe. That is, we were at the center of universe. Now these individuals, they are saying that no, we are not at the center of universe. So now ultimately it will lead to doubt in the individual. It will lead to doubt about the authority of the church. It will lead to doubt about the knowledge provided by the church, about the teachings, about the scriptures, everything. So that was the contribution of scientific revolution. They provided us with scientific method, rationalism, etc. Anyways, आगे चलते हैं. Anybody who has a question? Cognitive changes का मतलब होता है changes in the mind, in the intellect. और कोई क्वेश्चन किसी का साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन से? Anybody who has any question? Anyways, when you have question, you just put it there, and when I see this, and I will answer the questions. अब आगे चलते हैं, कमर्शियल रेवोल्यूशन की बात करते हैं. Commercial revolution, series of events between 1450 to 1800. Europe की economy, it changed from subsistence, stagnant economy to a dynamic and worldwide system. There was expansion of trade and commerce 15th century onwards. So it was large scale and organized. That is why it is known as a revolution. अब इसको थोड़ा डिस्कस करते हैं डिटेल में. See, what happened at this point in time was the European economy, because of lack of inventions, because of lack of, you can say, enthusiasm, the society was subsistence based. Subsistence मतलब कि I need 100 units and I am able to produce 100 units only. There is no generation of surplus. That is, I cannot produce 200 units because 200 units will lead to generation of surplus. So here the economy was subsistence. उतना ही बन रहा था जितने की जरूरत है. No surplus was generated. Surplus होगा तो then there will be trade. So here subsistence based economy, and they were stagnant. Stagnant means that growth was not there. Now suddenly there were certain changes because of which economy expanded. There was trade, there was commerce, and economic system. You can call it as a kind of globalization which was happening at that point in time. Now was the era when Vasco da Gama, Columbus, etc. They will start venturing out. They will find new lands. These new lands will be colonized and it will lead to prosperity of Europe. It might be to the detriment of the colonies, but it will lead to prosperity in Europe. There will be emergence of classes. There will be emergence of banking. There will be emergence of merchants. So that is what commercial revolution represents. Now, how this happened? There was expansion by certain countries who wanted to expand their economic and political power. That is Portugal, Spain, Holland, England, etc. These countries, they wanted to expand and consolidate their economic and political power. So Columbus was sent by the Spanish king. Vasco da Gama, he was a Portuguese. So these people went outside and then these people brought riches to their country and it led to prosperity in Europe. Now what happened? An economy which was subsistence based, an economy which was stagnant. Now this economy gets raw material which are cheap. This economy gets new markets for their finished products. So now what would happen? More trade, more commerce, and now trade and commerce, which was, you can say, kept to a very small area, that is Europe. Now that trade and commerce will become worldwide system because America will be colonized, West Indies, Latin America, Malacca, India, these will be colonized. These will become suppliers of raw material and consumers of finished products. So Europe will see expansion in their economic and political power. Anyways, आगे चलते हैं. So here, Renaissance का part है commercial revolution. Vasco da Gama, 1498 landed on Indian coast. This is Vasco da Gama. He is the man. This is our man. हमारा ही बंदा है, यहीं पे आया था. Anyways, Columbus, he went for India, but ultimately he landed on the coast of North America in 1492, which led to the establishment of Spanish Empire in America. Then parts of India, Africa, Malacca, South America, these were colonized. That is suppliers of raw material and markets for finished products. So a stagnant and subsistent based economy was changed into a worldwide and dynamic system. There was enthusiasm, there was hope, there was growth. So joint stock companies, they emerged, check was invented, paper money came into being. So these are certain facts. If you want to use, you can use it in your answer or in your essays. ये minor changes if you bring in your answer writing, ये तो खैर बहुत ही minute सा fact है. We will have very significant facts. So if you use these kind of small facts, what happens is it will break the monotony of the examiner. जो paper check कर रहा होता है, if you provide them theory, sir, take this theory, take this theory, take this theory, then ultimately they get bored because they are checking copies from 9 AM to 5 PM. बीच में थोड़ा बहुत चाय break और maybe lunch break. So if you are able to provide some diagrams, if you are able to provide some flow charts, if you are able to provide certain innovative examples from current affairs, some innovative facts, some facts, then ultimately your answer becomes unique. It keeps the examiner engaged with your answer sheet because that is your only communication. Sir, I am IAS material. So that is you communicate with the examiner for your candidacy. So इस तरीके से when we are discussing, try to place information here and there. That is ये यहाँ पे जा सकता है, ये यहाँ पे जा सकता है. Try to memorize the syllabus. UPSC का जो आपका sociology का syllabus है, you have to memorize. Keep that in mind because in paper 2 we have less thinkers. ठीक है? So at that point in time I will tell you how to write sociological answers beside keywords from the syllabus. That is paper 2 के जो keywords हैं, paper 1 के जो keywords हैं, that is what we use in answers. to make it sociological. Then we also try to link it with some thinkers in current affairs. But नरेगा में किसको आप वो कर लोगे लिंक? मे बी मार्क्सिस्ट, मे बी फेमिनिस्ट, फंक्शनलिस्ट, इस तरीके से हम आंसर लिख सकते हैं, सोशियोलॉजिकल बना सकते हैं, बट दैट लिबर्टी इज नॉट एवरीवेयर. तो ट्राई टू मेमोराइज द सिलेबस. एनीवेज आगे चलते हैं. Okay, so now we are entering into enlightenment thought. See, first of all, just write whatever I have given. Option of going again through the lecture and writing the notes. Anyways, chalte hain ab enlightenment thought. Intellectual modernity. So enlightenment thought can be seen as intellectual modernity, that is age of reason. kahan pe hua? Mainly France, and it was continuation of ideological currents in Renaissance. It was new awakening and critical rationalism. आप थोड़ा इसको in depth समझते हैं. See, ultimately, what was enlightenment? Enlightenment can be seen as age of reason. Age of reason. Why? Because it is a mode of thought characterized by critical rationalism. Two words are there, critical and rationalism. See, what happens is when I give question with keywords such as critically analyze, critically examine, people only write criticism, and that is a wrong approach. You don't have to criticize only. Here, critical means an in-depth examination. You don't have to go for only criticism. Here, or even in your answers, the word critical refers to in-depth examination. So here what started? Examination of different aspects of social existence, different aspect of reality, different social institutions, they were examined. On what basis? On the basis of rationalism. That is, you will use reason and logic to determine whether particular phenomena, a particular social institution is appropriate or not, is right or wrong. For example, what did our social reformers do in India when they were trying to reform sati? They ultimately used reason and logic. They used even medical inferences for child marriage. Same thing is happening in Europe 100 years before. So in enlightenment thought, there will be use of critical rationalism to see the phenomena around yourself and try to examine the explanation. You will use reason and logic to arrive at truth. And where it occurred? It occurred in 18th century, mainly France. So now you can draw the linkage between scientific revolution or Renaissance, because what these people were doing, they were rejecting the explanation, the ready-made truth provided by the church. Same thing is happening here. The ready-made truth provided by church, ready-made truth provided by society. आपने देखा होगा that individuals at time when you are engaging in discussion with somebody who is conservative, तो वो क्या बोलते हैं? You know nothing. यहाँ तो ऐसे ही होता है. This is the tradition and we will do it like this only. वो चाहे पूजा हो रही हो, चाहे you are celebrating something, और चाहे there is a way of doing thing, they will adhere to their own rules, their own rigid beliefs. But here you will be examining. Here individuals will be examining. That is, if there is poverty, why there is poverty? If there is inequality, why there is inequality? So now again start the questioning. And questioning on the basis of reason and logic. That is the essence of enlightenment thought. अब थोड़ा आगे चलते हैं. See, now we are in the core of sociology. जो इससे पहले करा है, that is only starters. So now we are in the core of sociology. If you are not able to understand, then let me know. यहाँ से straight away जो है straight forward question आते हैं. Anyways, what are the key elements of enlightenment, scientific method. So scientific method was in scientific revolution. It is present in here. So natural sciences will expand human knowledge, will lead to universal law. Society can be studied and it will lead to reform. All these things, they were present there and these are present here. But here the added dimension is that ultimately now we have immediate triggers for emergence of sociology. At that point in time, there was just beginning of the questioning of the curiosity. Now 300, 200 years have passed and now you will have immediate triggers of French Revolution, immediate trigger of Industrial Revolution. So now you will have a bigger reason for emergence of sociology. See, individuals are contemplating on society since time immemorial. Plato's Republic, Kautilya's Arthashastra, they all have something or the other on society. They have reflected on society. But now things will become systematic. Now there will be a genuine endeavor to establish a distinct science of society. Now let us dive into this. So scientific method. Now what did scientific method involve? Scientific method involved that ultimately observation, empiricism, experimental method will lead to discovery of universal law. Universal law matlab theories or laws which will be valid everywhere. For example, if you drop something, if you drop an apple in India, it will go down. It will fall on earth. If you drop an apple in Africa or America, same thing will happen. So law of gravitation is a kind of example of universal law. So these kind of law were present in hard sciences such as physics. But now there was a realization that ultimately the methods of natural sciences, they can be used to expand human knowledge. These methods, they can be used in scientific study of society. The natural world has its own law, for example, law of inertia, law of gravitation. Similarly, the thinkers thought that society will have its own law. And if you are able to discover those laws, then ultimately what will happen? You will be able to go for reform. You will be able to control change in society. You could restore peace and harmony in society. See, what are these programs when we are implementing, for example, Jal Jeevan Mission, when we are implementing community development programs, when we are implementing Swachh Bharat Mission, then what phrases government use? That is community-led approach, community-led approach. That is demand-driven. Matlab people come together, they decide and they implement. That is why we have Gram Sabha. That is why we have local body institutions. And this, all of this, that is when people come together and they have a sense of ownership, then the implementation will be good, then the result will be good. All this have come from the study of past programs, study of society. So ultimately, at this point in time, these people are anticipating that how we will study society. Now they have the tools. Earlier they didn't have the tools. Now they have the tools to study society, discover laws, and ultimately reform the society. Now, humanism. The second element is humanism. That is belief in the potential genius of individual and human agency. Prioritization of human dignity, rights, and happiness. Then a fact of Declaration of Rights of Man. Now think about it. What was happening in the medieval ages? What was happening at that point in time? There was a sense of fatalism. Fatalism, sense of fatalism, matlab that individual thinks that they are not in control of their life. Kings are predetermined. They believe in destiny. For example, in India, we have this philosophy of karma, dharma, punarjanam. जैसे कर्म करोगे वैसा फल मिलेगा. Then you will have punarjanam. If you do good deeds in this particular life, then you get better in the other life. For example, you will be rich, you will be upper caste, etc. Or if you engage in sins, then you will be lower caste, you will be poor, etc, etc. That is how we try to rationalize things, that कि जो हुआ वो पिछले कर्मों का फल था. But here now what is happening, that there is a belief in the potential of human being. That is belief in human agency. Human agency का मतलब human action. That is human beings by their very action, they can change their life. For example, what are you guys doing here? You are trying to learn sociology and clear the examination and then contribute to national development. So you have a belief that ultimately we can change the society. We can contribute to the betterment of society. So this belief was present in Enlightenment thought, that individual, they can take actions. They are not in control of some supernatural forces. They are not in control of destiny. They are in control. Similarly, the teachings of church in the medieval Europe, what were they saying? That you are poor because God wishes so. There is inequality because God's plan is there. So human happiness was relegated to the background. If you are suffering, if there is exploitation, they have a ready-made explanation that society and all the inequalities, these are created by God. And who are you to challenge the creation of God? So you have to bear this exploitation, because it is the test of the faithful. If you pass in this test, then in afterlife or maybe in next birth, you will be rewarded. But now what happens? Because of humanism in Enlightenment thought, now we are moving towards prioritization of individual. That is, individual should have some dignity. There should be equality in society. Individual should have rights. Because earlier, individual was just a subject. Individual जो है वो एक subject है. Because monarch is the ruler. Whatever monarch says is the law of the land. Who is monarch? Monarch is the representative of God on earth. Monarch is ruling through the divine theory, that he is divinely ordained. भगवान ने भेजा उन्हें कि जाओ rule करो. And whatever he says, you have to follow. But now here, individual dignity, individual rights are becoming important. So now you see, scientific method, we can change society. Humanism, again saying that we can change. So there is advancement in society. Now, this liberty, equality, आपने सुना होगा that Indian Constitution borrowed these words from French Revolution, French Constitution, etc. So ultimately, the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, they had notion of individual dignity, individual equality, rights, etc. And they borrowed this from the Enlightenment thought only. So Enlightenment thought has a direct link with French Revolution and emergence of sociology. Now, moving on to rationalism. That is use of reason and logic to determine the plausibility of phenomena, social norms, and institutions. So now, earlier, the church was telling me that obey the king because he has the divine right to rule. So church is telling me that you have to follow this individual, you have to follow the monarch, whatever he says is the law of the land, because he is representative of God on earth. But now I will be using reason and logic to determine whether a particular phenomena, a particular social institution such as religion, such as estate system, such as monarchy, whether they are reasonable, whether they are believable or not. So now again there is starting of questioning and examination. Same thing happened in the scientific revolution in Renaissance. So all in all, this all in all, these are continuation of the currents, the ideological currents which were present in scientific revolution. Anyways, आगे चलते हैं. कोई क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है सर? दिस इज मिडिल क्लास included workers of industries. ये middle class, which middle class are we talking about, Ila? This middle class, which middle class are we talking about? Anyway, see, I will tell you, मुझे question समझ में नहीं आया. You said that there was emergence of middle class. See, the middle class, technically speaking, when we talk about middle class in sociology during this period, that is the period of 17th to 19th or 20th century. 20th को हटा दो यहां से. 17th to 19th century. तो middle class here we are talking about bourgeoisie. ठीक है, जिसे मार्क्स जो है bourgeoisie बोलते हैं. These people, they were mainly the merchants, the bankers, the traders, the lawyers. All these were middle classes. जो इंडस्ट्री के वर्कर हैं, these were mainly the lower classes. अभी जो क्लासेस का क्रिस्टलाइजेशन है वो फर्दर होगा कब? When we have industrial revolution, when we have French revolution. अभी रूडिमेंट्री फॉर्म के अंदर मिडिल क्लास एग्जिस्ट करता है इफ वी टॉक अबाउट 16-17 सेंचुरी, क्योंकि तब मेनली एग्रेरियन इकोनॉमी है. इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन विल टेक प्लेस इन 1750. yes, there will be some cottage kind of industries there, but massive industries, it will be happening in 1750s. so here when we talk about middle class, we are talking about these individuals, merchants, bankers, the explorers, etc. वो वाले लोग आएंगे, they will be in the working class. Anyways, आगे चलते हैं. So enlightenment thought, see, these are certain thinkers which you can use in essay, which you can use in sociology as well. ये जो है हमारे कोर्स में नहीं है पर से, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ एनलाइटनमेंट थॉट्स. तो इसे हम माइन्यूटली डिस्कस करते हैं, लेकिन मैं थोड़ा माइन्यूटली से ज्यादा डिस्कस कर दूंगा सो दैट वी कैन रेप्लिकेट दिस नॉलेज एल्सवेयर. अगर जीएस में यूज करते हो तो यू डोंट नीड टू राइट द थिंकर्स नेम, रूसो वगैरह का नाम लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. सिंपल यू कैन, ये जो है चूज सोवरन, नोशन ऑफ जनरल विल भी इफ यू वांट, यू कैन जो है इग्नोर ही कर देना जनरल विल, क्योंकि ये स्पेसिफिक कॉन्सेप्ट है. गवर्नमेंट शुड बी रन अकॉर्डिंग टू विल ऑफ पीपल, लेजिटिमेट लॉज वगैरह, दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स कैन बी यूज्ड. मॉन्टेस्क्यू तो पेपर 2 वगैरह में यूज हो जाता है. तो ये सब चीजें यू कैन रेप्लिकेट इन जीएस एंड इन योर एसेस. तो इनको हम थोड़ा माइन्यूटली से ज्यादा डिस्कस करेंगे. एनीवेज, तो बात करते हैं अब रूसो की. तो व्हाट, हु वर द की थिंकर्स और की आइडियाज प्रेजेंट इन एनलाइटनमेंट थॉट? ठीक है, तो बुक इज, इनकी जो बुक है वो थी सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. बुक वगैरह का नाम यू डोंट हैव टू मेमोराइज. इफ यू मेमोराइज द थिंकर एंड द थॉट एंड द और द कॉन्सेप्ट, इट इज गुड एनफ. यू डोंट नीड टू मेमोराइज द कोट्स. और आप देखना कितने टॉपर जो हैं दे यूज कोट्स, बहुत ही रेयर होता है, बहुत ही फ्यू होते हैं जो करते हैं. इफ यू वांट टू गो फॉर मगिंग अप द कोट्स, इट इज अप टू यू, बट इफ you know the thinker and the thought, it is job done. Anyways, so he talks about notion of general will, that is government should be run according to will of the people. People should have right to choose sovereign. Rousseau gave the people of France the concept of democracy, and legitimate laws are founded on the will of the citizen. Now I will explain this, और मैं आपको इसकी थोड़ी सी essay के अंदर लिंकेज या फिर जो है अपने सोशियोलॉजी पेपर 2 वगैरह के अंदर लिंकेज भी बताया था। ये जो जनरल विल वगैरह है, दीज कॉन्सेप्ट दीज कैन बी यूज्ड इन पेपर 2 ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी। ऑप्शनल में तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट एकदम वी कैन फिट, बट जीएस में जस्ट यूज जेनेरिक लैंग्वेज, डोंट यूज स्पेसिफिक कॉन्सेप्ट लाइक जनरल विल एक्सेट्रा। एनीवेज आगे चलते हैं, तो रूसो की बात करते हैं। सी व्हाट रूसो इज सेइंग, he talks about the notion or the concept of general will, that ultimately individual or citizens, their wishes or their desires should prevail in the society. That is, the government or the authority should work as per the desires of the citizens of the state. So individuals in a society, first of all, they should have right to choose their sovereign. Sovereign means, in our sense, sovereign here means the highest authority of the land. For example, in India, Indian government is the sovereign. So at that point, the monarch was the sovereign. Now here he is saying right to choose sovereign, that I should have the right, that who should be my leader. Now think about it, we are in a society where we have monarch who has the divine right to rule, and now an individual is saying the commoner or the other individual of society, they should decide who will be ruling. So now this idea will lead to or will contribute to ideological support to French Revolution, wherein the monarchy was overthrown, where feudalism was overthrown. So here individual can choose their leader. Now Rousseau gave the idea of democracy, how you are going to choose, simply by voting. So ultimately here he is talking about democracy in France, which came after French Revolution. So Rousseau was giving ideas which directly underpinned or directly influenced the French Revolution. Then he talks about that legitimate laws are founded on the general will of the citizen. Now think about it. अगर इसको मैं essay में use करना चाहूँ, what is happening in Lakshadweep right now? In Lakshadweep, certain laws are being imposed which will interfere with the local culture and local ecology. People are not supporting, but law has been imposed. But here, what Rousseau is saying, that laws, legitimate law, legitimate matlab which will be readily accepted by the people. So legitimate laws should be based on the general will of the individual. So this is how you can transfer your sociological knowledge in the essay paper. इस तरीके से हमने पिक करने हैं जगह जगह से कॉन्सेप्ट, एंड देन वी विल बी यूजिंग देम इन द essay and in paper 2 of course. So law will only be accepted when it is based on people's will, because when we have a law which is based on people's will, then I am not following any dictator, I am just following myself. क्योंकि मैंने ही तो लॉ के लिए कंट्रीब्यूट करा है, मैंने ही वोट करा था कि हाँ वी हैव दिस लॉ. फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रेक्सिट के अंदर क्या हुआ, देयर वाज अ रेफरेंडम and people of Britain, they voted for Brexit, so Brexit happened. So ultimately they will accept because they only voted for Brexit. So this is what he is saying, that law to become legitimate should be based on general will of people. So this can be used in your GS answer. For example लक्षद्वीप में यूज कर लिया, या आपने जो है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट वगैरह में है वहां यूज कर लिया. बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल है, यूनिवर्सल सिविल कोड एग्जाम्पल, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. एनीवेज आगे चलते हैं. Montesquieu. Montesquieu was critical of absolutism of French monarchy. He talked about separation of power. This power should be separated and there will be checks and balances which will help in preserving freedom and preventing despotism. Now, pehla point, absolutism. What is absolutism? Absolutism here means that all the powers, they are concentrated in the hands of a single individual. एक सिंगल इंडिविजुअल के हाथ में सारी की सारी पावर होती है. नाउ व्हेन you have all the power, that is judiciary, executive, legislative, then what will happen? There might be a time when you will become a despot. That is, you will become authoritarian. See what is happening in China right now. If, for example, आपको करंट से लिंक करता हूँ, what has happened with the Alibaba founder Jack Ma? Jack Ma gave certain dissenting views against the Communist Party or the Chinese government. So power is concentrated in the hands of Xi Jinping, the Chinese president right now. So he didn't like it. So there was this IPO, initial public offering. वो नहीं समझाऊंगा, economics नहीं समझाऊंगा यहाँ पे. Initial public offering, शेयर जो है देने थे, shares were coming up in the market and the Chinese government, they blocked the IPO. So there was loss of billion of dollar to Jack Ma. So if power is concentrated in an individual, then there are chances of authoritarianism. But if power is scattered, there is separation of power. For example, in India, we have judiciary. See, for example, government of India was unable to provide vaccine or was unable to provide help, or there was some lack of transparency in provision of healthcare services. So judiciary stepped in that you have to provide this in a time-bounded manner. You have to be transparent. So what happened? Judiciary checked the power of the executive. So when we have separation of power, then ultimately authoritarianism can be checked. Then individual freedom, individual liberty, it can be preserved. That is what Montesquieu is saying in Enlightenment thought. That is, French monarchy was absolutist. That is, all the power were in the hands of monarch. And he called for separation of power because he was impressed with the British experiment. वहाँ पे separation of power थी, so which led to individual liberty, a just kind of government. So that is how Montesquieu presented his thought. अब चलते हैं आगे. Next is John Locke. पहली statement, that is individuals are reasonable and moral. मतलब वो rational है और वो moral है, unethical नहीं है. There is notion of inalienable right. To protect these rights, people enter into social contract. Government with limited power. Government do not protect, people have right to revolt. Now think about it. John Locke is saying that individual is inherently reasonable and moral. That is, individual will adjust, individual is rational, individual is ethical, and the individuals, they have certain rights which cannot and should not be taken away. That is, right to life, individual liberty and property. That is, individual's property, his life and his personal freedom should not be taken away. These are inalienable. इसे आप नहीं छीन सकते. इसका की मॉडर्न वर्जन क्या है? एक्सेप्ट बाय लॉ, जिसे हम आजकल यूज करते हैं. बाय लॉ आप ले सकते हो, ऐसे नहीं आर्बिट्ररी नहीं ले सकते. So here he is talking about notion of inalienable rights. To protect these rights, individuals, they enter into a social contract wherein they establish a government which have limited power. Again, वहां पे Montesquieu क्या कह रहा था? He was criticizing absolute monarchy, that is all the powers in single individual. Here he is again talking about limited government. Extensive power नहीं होनी चाहिए गवर्नमेंट के पास. Then the individual freedom, individual rights will be protected. Then if government is not able to protect these rights, then people have the right to revolt. Now think about it. At that point in time, आज की डेट में भी if somebody revolts, then there is a media circus, then forces are called in. These people, they are in 18th century, 19th century, and they are talking about revolt. So it was a very revolutionary kind of idea that अगर मेरी rights है, if I have chosen you as my representative, I have chosen you as the government, if you are not able to protect my right, then I will be revolting to protect my right myself. So again, this will militate against the monarchy, because people are living under monarchy. But under monarchy, when we go forward, we will discuss the estate system. पहले में क्लर्जी, दूसरे में नोबिलिटी, तीसरे में कॉमनर्स. तो कॉमनर्स के पास राइट्स नहीं है. सो इफ द मोनार्क और द स्टेट दे आर unable to protect your rights, then you can revolt. So again, direct underpinning, direct linkage with French Revolution. Now Voltaire talks about freedom of speech. That is, it is a protection against immoral and corrupt government. It challenged the authority of church against religious intolerance. So Voltaire, what is he talking about? That there should be freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, that is free flow of information, where an individual can put forward or present their opinion. They can dissent against the government. Only that is a protection against an immoral and corrupt government. Now think about it. The French monarchy at that point in time, the French monarchy was extravagant. They did not care about people. They waged wars, because of which there was bankruptcy of the state. Because of that bankruptcy and their extravagance, people were loaded. The state imposed taxes on the people. So the government became immoral and corrupt. There was corruption, there was immoral acts on the part of government, क्योंकि लोगों के पास खाने के लिए नहीं. For example, when people went to the queen, her name was Mary. So when people went to the queen, they said, we don't have bread to eat. So she told them that if you don't have bread, eat cake. Now think about it. मैं किसी के पास जाऊं, कहूं कि मेरे पास 2 रोटी के पैसे नहीं है, वो कहें यार रोटी क्यों खा रहे हो, go to McDonald's or go to Pizza Hut, have a pizza. Why do you want roti? So that was the kind of, you can say, arrogance of the monarchy, stupidity of the monarchy. So you have to have a dissenting view. You should have the right to dissent against such government. So freedom of speech is needed. Again, what was Catholic Church doing at that point in time? Crushing individual liberty, individual thought, religious dogma, religious principles, they cannot be challenged. But here he is saying that we should have freedom of speech. So religious intolerance, it will be checked. So these were the key thinkers which were present in Enlightenment thought. You can use them in your paper 1, in your paper 2, etc. Anyways, अब आप लोग थोड़ा लिख लो. I think we have to start with Pallavi. We can say that he supported Republican, was supported by him. Pallavi, I did not understand the question. We can say then he supported Republican, was supported by him. Now who is the him and who is the Republican here? Anyways, हम डाउट्स ले लेंगे. आप लोग जो है अपने वो निकालिए, हमें स्टार्ट करना है अब एनलाइटनमेंट थॉट से, आई गेस.